Welcome to Catalytic Leadership, the podcast designed to help leaders intentionally grow and thrive. Here is your host, author, and leadership and executive coach, Dr. William Attaway.
Hey, it's William, and welcome to today's episode of the Catalytic Leadership Podcast. Each week, we tackle a topic related to the field of leadership. My goal is to ensure that you have actionable steps you can take from each episode to grow in your own leadership. I believe, like Craig Rochelle has said many times, that when a leader gets better, everybody benefits. Your team, your department, your customers, your clients, your spouse, your kids, everybody. Each week, we spotlight leaders from a variety of fields, locations, and organizations. My goal is for you to see that leaders can be catalytic no matter where they are or what they lead. I draw inspiration from the stories and journeys of these leaders, and I hear from many of you that you do too. Let's jump in to today's interview. It is a joy today to have Timmy Gallagher on the podcast. Timmy has been described as an executive coach as a combination of Jocko Willink, Wim Hof, the Dalai Lama, and Robert F. Kennedy. His experience, knowledge, and wisdom have evolved from his various roles as a government servant, a corporate leader, a not-for-profit volunteer, a college-level educator, an endurance athlete, a spiritual elder, a caring father, and a loving husband. The totality of his roles and experiences reveal his calling to share his desires and his talents as a coach. This unique patina of positions and purpose has empowered him to show up as the singular most positive and transformative coach on the vast coaching scene. If you're looking to discover your best performance and you're purpose-driven, he's your guy. Timmy, it is such an honor to have you on the show today. Thanks for being here.
William, thanks for having me. It's a shame our listeners didn't get to listen to our pre-live conversation because the spirit was there. But this is great. Thanks for doing what you do.
Well, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to our listeners hearing what you are and what you've shared, because I already have caught a taste of this, and I cannot wait for you to share this. I'd love to start there. I'd love to start with you sharing some of your story with our listeners, particularly around your journey and your development as a leader. How did you get started, Timmy?
Came out of my mother's womb.
Hey-oh.
Shout out to Nancy Gallagher. I will. So when you were just talking, you said about who I am, and I was on another podcast, and they started with, "Who are you?" And that's such a traditional Western, what do you do? Right?
Yeah, right.
It's a nonsensical question. Ask me who I am, and my answer, and this will set a tone for the rest of our podcast, which started before we got on. I'm a beloved son of God.
So good.
So I'll tell you right now what I thought we were going to talk about. I think that's going to change because you've told me what you do as a coach and as a minister, and we tapped into what I do. So let's just cut to the chase. If people knew their beloved status and really accepted that and lived in that abundance, not only would we change leadership, we would change the world.
It does start with understanding who you are. And I think too few leaders really dive deep there, dive deep into identity. Instead, they see leadership as telling people what to do or a title on the door. And it's so much bigger than that.
Indeed. I'll go out on a limb. I think most people, unfortunately, don't know who they are. They don't know why. You are not your job title. Yeah, I'm a father and a husband, but the roles, don't get it twisted. Before all of that, I'm a beloved son of God. Yeah. Because with that, I can show up with an energy that's totally different than, well, I have this role, or I have this function. See, you're bringing, call it your essence, call it your soul, call it your true self, call it your spirit. You're bringing, it's different. It's the part of you that you were born with that becomes obscured with what life happens, when life happens to you. And we develop these personas, these veils, these egoic things. And that's where, particularly me as a coach and a mental fitness coach, it comes in, because you showing up that way with these defenses, that's exactly what your brain is meant to do. That is your limbic system, which is fight, flight, freeze, feed, and fornicate. That's how we keep this species going. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that is not the entire story. Yeah. We have a right brain. We have a prefrontal cortex. You get into your right brain. Here's my creativity. Here's my imagination. Here's intuition. Here's art. Prefrontal cortex. I'm thinking and going to something bigger. I tell this story a lot. We have an English bulldog, Trevor. He's the cutest dog in the world. Him and I go out front, and he's doing his business, and I'm looking up at the star and the moons, and I'm talking to Trevor about it. He doesn't think about going to the moon. Yeah. He gets the idea of pack. He gets the idea of good boy, bad boy, but his brain isn't there. We're the species that has that brain to go to the next level. And what I would submit to people is, when you can realize how your brain works, how that survive brain works versus your thrive brain, and how you can develop more of a thrive brain with being present. Yeah. Yeah. That how when we do that, then you show up as a different person, a better person, and then you're a better leader.
Yeah, you just keyed in on something that I talk a lot about, which is the difference in surviving and thriving. Yep. Too many of the leaders that I see, that I talk to, and that I work with, they're in survival mode, particularly given the most recent 2 or 3 years. Indeed. Coming out of COVID and all of the things that entailed, and into a world that is not what it was in 2019. Things have changed. Things have shifted. And so many leaders are in that survival mode. They're not thriving. They're not even close to thriving. They can't even see thriving from where they are. Has that been your experience too?
It clearly is my experience. It's our experience. And again, where does it come from? It's just your brain doing what the brain does. That limbic system is 3 to 5 times stronger than the better part of your brain. And it gets first bite at everything. This is science, William. This isn't just me. That's good. So, of course, you have that reaction to things. Yeah. But on a good day, you move into a response. Yeah. On a great day, when you're really in the spirit, when you're really thriving, it's choice. See, you see it? It's a totally different energy.
What a distinction.
You with me? Yes.
Yeah. Reaction, response, choice.
So here's how it goes. And you have a lot of books behind you. You look like a well-read man. So feel free to check me on this. Here's the process. I think this one's mine, but if I took it from somebody else and didn't realize it, proper attribution. But here's how it goes. Awake, aware, choice, creativity. So let me unpackage it. Awake. Our brain likes to put things on automatic pilot. And to your point, how many people are just going through their life as a robot, as a zombie, as just an automatic reaction to everything? I don't want a vaccine. I do want a vaccine. You voted this way. You voted this way. You're right. I'm wrong. Right? Because if you're wrong, then I could be right.
That's right.
Right. So awake. Are you awake of what's going on, not just around you, but in you? Then this is the clap of the master's hand in Zen, or this is the burning bush, right? Whoa, something's going on here. Then become aware of it. What is happening in you now that you're awake? See, you and I are talking about church earlier. There's a lot of people that go to church and look like they're doing the right thing, but for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. And conversely, you could have somebody going off for a hike in the woods on Sunday, looking like they're missing church, but being there for all the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the awareness? So we go from awake to aware. When we start getting aware, then we can be open to a shift.
Mm. Mm.
And we're moving from left brain to right brain.
Yeah.
And now we're tapping into this creativity, to this imagination, to something bigger than me.
Mm.
Right? So now I'm making a choice. I'm not deciding something. See, when I decide, IDE,
mm-hmm.
I kill something off. Homicide,
Yeah.
gentricide,
Yeah.
fratricide. I'm married to Mary Gallagher, my lovely wife. I didn't decide to marry her. I chose to marry her.
Mm.
It was not something goes away, so something went. This was a win-win. Yeah. God does not decide on us. God chose us. We're the beloved.
I love that.
And our brain wants to, well, I got to earn it. Stop with the worthiness game, because at the end of the day, nobody's really worthy. Come on.
Yeah.
Just be present and choose that. And when we choose that, we totally access that part of the brain that is all about what's the next level. How can I serve? How can I be part of something bigger? If I may, we tap into the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a little theory I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
And feel free to give me some feedback on this. Maybe that limbic system, that's actually our original sin.
Mm. Mm. It's certainly been corrupted by it.
And the more we live there, the more we have these veils that separate us from our presence and the presence of others. So to your point, life happens and all these things occur, and we dig in deeper and deeper with our limbic. Why? 3 to 5 times stronger, gets first bite at everything. So if you're not awake and aware and then choosing, you're stuck on that.
That's good.
It'll happen and you don't even know it. So a good leader is awake, aware, they're making choices, and then they can be as creative as they want. In any given moment, there's an infinite amount of choices I can make, but I can only be there if I'm in the spirit.
And so when a leader determines to do that, like, is that going to impact their success? Is that going to influence their significance of their life?
How could it not?
Yeah.
I mean, I had this conversation with one of my clients last night, and since you're there and I'm there, we'll just go there. If you really have faith that God is working with you, it's a done deal. If you're still wishy-washy about it, your faith is lacking. If you're in, you're in. See, God's all in.
Yeah. He's all
God
in
is
on
all
you.
in. Yeah, right. It's just, the early Christian fathers talked about, to describe the Trinity, parachoresis. It was a divine dance. It was a flow.
A flow. Exactly.
And to be in that kind of flow, again, that's right brain, prefrontal cortex. If you're in limbic, it's not flowing. It's fight, flight, freeze, right? Something, we're up in those mountains off the Shenandoah, and something moves in the bush, saber-toothed tiger. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And by the way, our brain, that's fine. You put your hand on a hot stove, your brain's going to say, whoa, that hurt.
Right.
It should say that. But here's the problem, William. We leave our hand on the hot stove.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did that guy not say to me? Why did they cut me up? And it just, that becomes your self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's good.
They're both, but Thrive Mind and Survive Mind are both self-fulfilling prophecies. You get it the way you want it.
Yeah. Timmy, I'm curious, given your background, given the number of roles that you have held and jobs that you've done, how did you move into the performance and leadership coaching space?
Someone knocked at my door. Literally. A man knocked at my door at my office at my other job and said, do you have a second? Of course. Says, I'm looking to changed my life. And I was talking to these life coaches and executive coaches, and man, none of them really like worked for me. And like I just did here, I hear what you say. I see how you live. I want what you have. Will you coach me? I wasn't a coach.
Yeah.
This is in the hero's journey. We all have a heroic journey. This is the call to action. Hello, the clue finder's ringing. Would you please pick it up? And in most hero's journey, the hero refuses to call initially. Yeah. So I accepted the call, and then I went on that journey. And as a minister, if it's God's will, you're going to get pinged over and over and over. And if you don't have all you need at the time, don't worry about it. You're on the path, right? Yeah. So I just coached, and I kept going with that. And I got the feedback of you need to do this with other people. And I had a spiritual brother in my life who is a C-suite level coach, very high caliber. Said, this is what's showing up for me. He says, yep, I can see it. So there's that. I got you. Yeah. And somebody believed in me, and start looking at schools. And that's when I ended up at Brown University for my leadership and performance coaching. Well, and it continues to evolve.
So talk about that for a minute, because I think that's the right word. As leaders, we are constantly growing. We are constantly getting better. As catalytic leaders, that's a goal. How has your journey as a leader and as a coach evolved over time, from those early days when somebody knocks at your door to today? How do you see clients and different people benefit from what you're doing now?
I had one client who said to me, I've been in therapy for 4 years. 4 months with you is way better than all that. Wow. But here's the thing, William, that's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just us making that connection happen. That's right. That's right. That's the client base goes from medical doctor to real estate people to CEOs down to college level kids. They always talk about, you got to develop your niche and all that. And I appreciate that, but I think I'm just focused on develop myself, in this niche will show up.
Yeah.
And the company is Evolute, my coaching company. Yeah. And a very good friend of mine, we were brainstorming on the name. He's like, yeah, but when you do your thing, like you're all in, and it's like a seismic shift when you're with people. And he's known me for years. He says, I'm like, transformation. He goes, no, that's that. He goes, it like evolves. And he says, oh, there's this geometry term, evolute, that in the center of any shape, that's the evolute. So on any shape of you, on any shape of your journey, I'll meet you in the center. And then we'll journey together.
Oh, what a great picture.
Yeah. And I didn't come up with that one. That was from my friend Anthony. I didn't think about being a coach. That was a knock on the door from a guy named Steve. So I just, as best as I can, stay open, stay out of the way, and then do the work.
So somebody who wants coaching, somebody who wants to benefit from this, what do they need?
Vulnerability. You want to just cut to the chase. Coaching is, partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize, their personal and professional potential. That's the International Coaching Federation definition. It's a good one. Conversations are something that's current, unresolved, and something they care about, and lends themselves to coaching. But again, like you could go to church looking good, but for all the wrong reasons. You could come to coaching looking good, but for all the wrong reasons. So what does it really come down to? Are you willing to be open? There's a great tune by Leonard Cohen called Anthem. You might be familiar with it. Yeah. And there's a line that says, there's a crack. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So if you truly
like
come
that.
with, here's my crack, here's what's not working well.
Right.
Okay. That's the access point. I mean, I'm just going to go all in. We were talking about Jesus before. Here's the beauty of this guy named Jesus. Real dude,
Yeah.
lived, whether you go for the Christ thing, that's a whole nother thing. But if you go for the Christ thing, when he comes back, he's not perfect. He still has all the holes, all the cracks. The role modeling doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
So it's not the real challenge of leadership is it's not what you're getting right. It's what you're getting wrong.
Ooh. That kind of authenticity and transparency, I think, is too lacking in leadership. And I think when a leader is willing to show the crack or cracks, I mean, I think people lean into that. I don't think they're repelled by it. I think it draws people in.
Vulnerability is the currency of trust.
Yeah.
And I know that's somebody else's, might have been Maxwell, I don't know, but it works. And there's a nuance to that. You know, you don't go in bleeding your heart everywhere.
Oh, of course.
But the idea of like, hey guys, I think I dropped the ball.
Yeah.
We were headed this way and we're off course. And I own that as the leader. So let's recalibrate here. And I'm owning my part. That sets it up for everybody to go like, oh, it's okay to have hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
You follow?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I mean, look, I'll go back to the Jesus thing. Like those that were getting it right, he was like, we're good.
Yeah.
I'll catch you later.
Yeah.
I'm here for those that need it. And it was those on the fringe, those that were cracked, so to speak. Yeah.
And openly cracked.
Yes.
Not trying to cover it up or whitewash it.
Right. Because here's the thing about that vulnerability. Often that kind of pain is the only thing strong enough to get that limbic system out of the way. To get that ego out of the way.
That's good.
I mean, great pain is the touchstone of most spiritual growth. And it's either coming from something wonderful, abundantly wonderful happen, or something absolutely tragic happening. It's that shift.
Yeah.
And is it enough now for you to access that something bigger, or do you just want to stay turtled up?
Absolutely.
And that's what's happening with a lot of people and a lot of leaders.
And I think that's how the coaching that you do becomes transformational. When somebody is vulnerable and does show those cracks, I think that's how you see transformation, isn't it?
That is. And here's what's neat about that. You're transforming back into what you had all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so the limbic system, I tell folks, we call that the judge. That's that egoic system. And you have saboteurs. There's 9 saboteurs. And there's a little test I send out. It's 5 minutes. It's free. And you identify these saboteurs. They're neat little words for basically your personality. See, your personality shows up, William, when you don't.
Oh, that's good.
And that one's from Richard Rohr, by the way. That's his. But on the other side, in that right hemisphere, is your sage. And the sage, dig this perspective. The sage says, out of any circumstance or outcome, there's a gift or opportunity. See the self-fulfilling prophecy? And the sage says there's 5 powers we can have on this side of our brain: empathy, exploration, innovation, navigation, and one of your favorites, activation.
Good. That's good.
And so, okay, if I'm buying this, Timmy, then how do I get from that survive, those saboteurs, to the sage and the thrive? Get awake, get aware. So this is me, warts and all. Because once we start naming things, we can tame things. Like, okay, so if you take the saboteur assessment and let's say you come up as a stickler, I'm a stickler, which for those that study the Enneagram, that's like a 1 on the Enneagram. not shaming it, not guilting it, because shame and guilt do not transform. Shame and guilt may kick you into putakus, but on the long haul, they won't transform you. It's too punitive. Right. So now that I got the coach and you're like, oh man, I got really hijacked the other night, Timmy. What was it? Was my stick? Okay. Name it, tame it, put it in its place. Excuse me. I don't need you right now. Shame that devil. Right. Well, how do I get to the other side? I call it presence work. Now, here's the beauty of presence work, William. We want to get out of our brain. Where do we go? Our body. We go with exactly what God gave us. Your vision, your hearing, your smell, your taste, your touch. So, example, I'll tell a CEO, if you really want to develop your Thrive brain, you need to meditate a good 40 minutes every day. Timmy, that's too much time. Okay. Can you give me 10 minutes? Can you give me 5? Can you give me 1 minute? Can you give me 10 seconds? Can you give yourself 10 seconds? Why 10 seconds? We've done the studies. The fMRIs show when we are present with our body senses for 10 seconds or longer, we activate the neural pathway to our Thrive brain. That's fact, William. This is science.
That's good.
So what does that look like? Here's my cup of tea. How often do we just drink the tea instead of tasting the tea? You follow me?
I do.
I'll say this one to folks. You have a beloved in your life? Yes. Are their earlobes attached or unattached? I'm not sure. You've been looking at her all your life. Why don't you get present to her? What are the exact colors of the irises of your son or your daughter? So when you get present to think for 10 seconds or longer, you activate that pathway. So this is how Paul talks about pray always. Well, how do I pray always? You're just present always. Leave your personality to the side and you bring your best self forward. That will transform you, your leadership, everybody you walk into. The proper definition of a Christian is one that met one. If you have that transformation, people can't help but do what that one guy did. I want what you have. I mean, that's what AA does. Which is it's AA is all about, we are a program of attraction. There's no ads for AA, but millions of people go. And what do they say? You say, I'm so-and-so, I'm an alcoholic. Welcome, keep coming back. Like, it's the only place I know where you get it right by getting it wrong.
And being honest about your cracks.
100%. And you get a little applause for it. And then here's a coin for 90 days. Like, this is how we need to show up as leaders. Now, listen, let's not get it twisted. At the end of the day, there's a job to be done. If you can't get it done, let me help you. If you just aren't aligned, we need to have a discussion on what's the best for you. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's actually a perfect evolution of where you need to be. See, so the energy is all different this way.
It's obvious that you're a learner, Timmy. You're a continual learner. I mean, you're widely read and you're continuing to learn. You don't just stop. Every leader I talk to about this, I ask them, is there a book that the leaders who are listening that you would recommend and say, hey, if you only have time for one book, the first month of 2023 or the second month, or what would that book be?
Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Oh,
Frankl.
There you go.
Done deal. I got books everywhere too, but I mean, imagine that, you're in a concentration camp, your family's been taken away, killed, and you still are able to say, this you will not get. This you will not get. You will not get into my head. You will not get into my heart. I will choose in this gap of what I want.
So good.
It's spirituality at its best.
No doubt. You've been doing this for a little while. Now, you're not a newbie. You're not an acolyte to this. What do you wish you would have known about working in your field before you ever started?
Specifically as a mental fitness coach, which was a total fit with my endurance athleticism of understand how your brain works, understand how your body works. And it makes it all okay.
Mm.
Like take it easy, but take it. Like, it's like this. I keep going back to because of our conversation, but the Bible and things like that, Adam and Eve, and God has seen us, we're naked. Who told you you're naked? I never told you you're naked. Who put that in your head?
Yeah.
That's that limbic system of, well, something's wrong and something's right. And we can make that choice. But my point is like, that's just your brain doing what it's meant to do. And the possibility of what the brain can do. Like I've learned as an endurance athlete, when my brain is quitting, my body can still go. Yeah. So to know that what we see as leadership is actually just a brain-body connection thing. Mm. And if you can understand the brain-body connection and have an actual way of working on it, such as with presence exercises, with coaching, things like that, you can literally shift to that new way of being. Mm. And it's not just, it's an energy. It's not just what you do, it's how you do it. So your why is self-revealed to you and others.
I mean, this has been so fascinating. I could talk with you about this for hours. This is so fascinating. I know that a lot of our listeners feel the same way. They want to stay connected with you. What is the best way for people to connect with you and continue to learn from you?
LinkedIn, Timmy Gallagher on LinkedIn, and Evolute Performance is on LinkedIn. And of course, there's a website, evoluteperformance.com, and I have a timmygallagher.com too. And if any of this resonated, I would love to have a conversation. Yeah. And just know that I never even discuss a compensation package until we are sure we're a good fit. So I go anywhere up to 4 sessions, and then we decide if we get into that. So just like God, it's free. It's just yours for the taking, let me do my thing. You do your thing, and it'll be our thing.
Thank you for the generosity you have shown today, Timmy, in sharing so much wisdom and insight from your own study, your own experience, and the experience you've had coaching other leaders. This has been incredibly practical and incredibly helpful. And it's whetted my appetite. And I imagine I'm not the only one to learn more about what you've been talking about. Thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you for doing what you do.
Thanks for joining me for this episode today. As we wrap up, I have a couple of requests for you. I'd love for you to do 2 things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to find this podcast. Second, if you don't have a copy of my newest book, Catalytic Leadership, I'd love to put a copy in your hands. If you go to catalyticleadershipbook.com, you can get a copy for free. Just pay the shipping so I can get it to you, and we'll get one right out. My goal is to put this into the hands of as many leaders as possible. This book captures principles that I've learned in 20 plus years of coaching leaders in the entrepreneurial space, in business, government, nonprofits, education, and the local church. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take a next step with a coach who can help you to intentionally grow and thrive as a leader, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to catalyticleadership.net to book a call with me. And stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, leaders, choose to be catalytic.
Thanks for listening to Catalytic Leadership with Dr. William Attaway. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode. Want more? Go to catalyticleadership.net.